There are rules in my hometown. Old rules, passed down like heirlooms, whispered in kitchens and at campfires, muttered with a hand half covering the mouth, as though saying them too loudly might invite something in. The first rule: never answer the knock after midnight. The second: if it knows your name, you don't know it. The third: always burn the shoes of the dead. I didn't think much of these rules growing up. Every small town has its superstitions. Ours just seemed a little darker, a little stricter. But I followed them anyway, out of habit, out of fear, out of that quiet understanding that old traditions survive for a reason. Until the night my best friend, Elias, died. He was in a car accident on the old highway. The kind of accident that doesn't leave much to identify. His mother cried for days, sitting on her porch with an unlit cigarette trembling between her fingers. His father, grim and silent, carried a shoebox to the river one night and burned Elias's sneakers, watching until nothing but charred laces and blackened rubber remained. Everyone knew the rules. Everyone followed them. Except me. I couldn't stop thinking about Elias, about how the last thing he'd said to me was a stupid joke, how I never told him I was sorry for something so small I can't even remember it now. Grief eats at you like that. Gnawing, scraping. So I did what you're not supposed to do. I kept a piece of him, one of his shoes hidden in my closet. The first knock came 3 nights later. Knock. 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 It was soft, almost polite, but it woke me from a dead sleep. My clock read 2:14 a.m. The house was silent. I told myself it was a branch, the wind, something ordinary. But then came another set of knocks, closer this time, like they were at my bedroom door. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Knock. 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 Let me in. My blood turned to ice. The voice was Elias's. I whispered his name before I could stop myself. Silence. Then, after what felt like hours, I heard the slow drag of footsteps retreating down the hall. The next day, I found muddy footprints on the hardwood floor outside my door. Bare, human, too big to be mine. I tried to throw the shoe away. I carried it to the dumpster behind the grocery store, hurled it in, and walked home without looking back. But when I opened my closet that night, it was there again, right where I had hidden it. That night, the knocking was louder. Let me in. Please, I'm cold. I stuffed my ears with pillows. I prayed. I cried. Still, I heard it. The begging, the scratching at the wood, the way my name slid from his mouth like something rotten. I stopped sleeping. My skin turned pale and waxy. People at work asked if I was sick. I lied and nodded, but Elias kept coming back. Sometimes he laughed. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he whispered things I couldn't understand, but they crawled under my skin like worms. Then one night, the knocking stopped. Instead, I woke to find my bedroom door open. The shoe sat at the foot of my bed, wet, covered in mud and something dark that wasn't mud. And from the closet, where the shoe had been just hours before, I heard it, breathing. I never saw Elias again. What I saw was worse. A figure, too tall for my room, its limbs wrong, bent, jointed like broken branches, its head lolling, slack, with Elias's smile stitched onto its face in a way that didn't belong. Its voice, when it spoke, came from too many mouths at once. You kept me. They found my house empty the next morning. The neighbors said they heard knocking all night long, but no one dared open the door. No one dared look. All they found was a single shoe, charred black, sitting in the middle of my bed. The rules were clear. I broke them. And now, when the knocking comes, I knock too. When James Ritter moved into 312 Ashford Street, he told himself the creaking floors and musty air were just signs of age. It was a narrow Victorian row house, its bricks weathered to the color of dried blood. The real estate agent had smiled too wide when handing him the keys, a brittle, twitchy smile, as if she were relieved to be rid of something. The place came fully furnished, though James hadn't asked for it. Heavy curtains, a grandfather clock that hadn't ticked in years. A long hallway that seemed to stretch further at night than in the day. And the room at the very end of the second floor. the one with the brass handle that was cold even in the August heat. The previous owner had left a single note on the mantelpiece: "Do not open the last room." James laughed it off. People loved adding creepy little flourishes to old houses, and this was probably a family joke or a dare for the next tenant. The first week passed uneventfully. Then came the sounds. At first it was scratching, faint, delicate, like a fingernail against the inside of a wall, always from upstairs, always from the direction of the locked room. Then the scratching changed into something worse: whispers. They weren't quite in English, but James could make out cadence, breath, and the sense that something was speaking directly to him, even through the layers of wood and paint. He began avoiding the second floor after dusk. The air up there seemed thicker, the shadows longer. Sometimes, walking past the bottom of the stairs, he caught the faint smell of rot, like meat forgotten in the sun. On the 10th night, he woke at 3:14 a.m. to find the grandfather clock in the hallway ticking again, though he had never wound it. The pendulum swung slowly, each motion followed by a tiny, sharp tap from upstairs. The key to the last room wasn't hard to find. It was inside the grandfather clock, tucked into the hollow beneath the pendulum. He stared at it for a long time. The brass was tarnished black in spots, and it felt oddly warm when he picked it up. That night, he dreamed of the room. He saw a 4-poster bed draped in gauze, a single rocking chair, and something in the far corner that he could not bring into focus, no matter how hard he tried. But it was watching him. The next day, James told himself he wouldn't open the door. But the key burned in his pocket all afternoon, like a live coal. It was raining when he finally turned the key. The lock resisted at first, then gave way with a deep, wet sound, like something coming unstuck. Inside, the air was colder than the rest of the house. Not the absence of heat, but the presence of something that didn't belong. The 4-poster bed from his dream was there, dustless and perfectly made, as though someone had just left it. The rocking chair faced the far corner, and in that corner, a shape. It wasn't a person, not exactly. It was the impression of a person, blacker than shadow, as though the light bent around it. Its head tilted as James stepped inside. "You finally came," it whispered, in a voice like breath over broken glass. James couldn't move, couldn't speak. The door slammed shut behind him. The neighbors say 312 Ashford Street is empty again. Sometimes at night, they see a shadow moving in the upstairs window. But it's not James, it's taller. The real estate agent's smile is even wider now when she shows the place to prospective buyers. And the note still sits on the mantelpiece, though the handwriting has changed. "Do not open the last room. You won't like what's waiting for you."